Hey, how's it going? And today I just wanted to talk a little bit about how to try to make the metahumans look more human. I don't have all the answers yet, but I just wanted to give you some ideas that you can experiment with. One of the things you hear a lot about is the importance of lighting. Of course, lighting is important. So, you want to have generally some kind of soft light from the side, or you definitely want to have some light hitting the eyes to bring the eyes out. To me, one of the key things is the metahuman skin, and that's the main issue I've been seeing is the skin doesn't look real. It looks chalky. The other thing I think is that there's a thing with the metahuman and the environment that it's in. So I think the more that you can make the background look realistic, that will also help with adding realism to your metahuman. So here I feel like I'm getting closer to the look, and I just want to show you how you can start experimenting with this skin. So I'm gonna just kind of start from blank and bring in a metahuman. So I'll see you in just a minute. Okay, so I've got a metahuman I've just brought into the scene, and let's go down here and take a look. I'm going to slow down my camera here. And so let's talk about some things here. Now, I don't feel... I'm trying to get too close without going through the metahuman. So let's just go over some things that we can talk about. Okay, so the first thing is I don't feel like this metahuman looks real at all. To me, the skin is very flat and it's matte looking, and nobody's skin kind of looks like that. It looks dull and flat, and that's what I noticed the most. The hair actually doesn't look half bad, but mostly, and even the cloth doesn't look half bad. But we have a mixture of real and unreal here. The sky looks pretty real, so let's just do a couple things with the general lighting on this. So let's go ahead and knock out this wall and knock out this wall. And ideally I would bring in an HDRI backdrop, but I'll save that for another tutorial. I'm just going to clear out this stuff that looks clearly cartoonish. So what we can do, the first thing I would say is let's make the environmental lighting look better. So one thing we can do for that is if I hit Control L, I can bring in the sun, and what we want to do here is we want to light her from the side. So the sun would be a nice, what we call like a soft source from the side. And we want to get on the shadow side of her. So let's get on the shadow side of her, and like right there is a good angle there. We've got some light here, and then we got some fill light coming in, wrapping around and going there. So that's good. Now what we can do, let me get rid of this stuff in the background, because I want to get rid of the fake stuff, because I want people to feel like this is a real person. It's not going to look real if they're standing in a cartoon world. The other thing we can do is let's bring down this light, this intensity of this light somewhat here. That's too bright. I notice it's easier just to adjust these values numerically, so let's do 1.5 or something like that. Maybe that's a little too dark. Maybe come up. This is all just subjective. I want to say there's no right or wrong here. So already I feel like with just the environment, it's looking better than it was. Now the next thing we can do here is we can search for the fog. And so these are things I would do to make the general environment look better. And so here on the density of the fog, let's try a 2. Maybe that's a little too much. Maybe a 1. Maybe let's see what that does. Let's try, well, no, maybe 1.5. You have to play around with it. Maybe I'm out more fog than that. A 3. So we're losing some of our clouds, but I like that that fog effect as much as we can get. As a matter of fact, what happens if I just go 5? Let's go higher. Let's go 10. Bringing in just more and more fog there. Okay, but I don't know. Maybe I'll come back down. So anyway, that's something to play with, is that fog to get some atmospherics in there. So that looks a lot more potentially real than the cartoon world does. But she is looking a lot better with just that. Now let's see here, what else do we have that we can do? Does this scattering help? I don't see it making a big difference really. Okay. Oh, I didn't hit volumetric fog. Sorry about that. That was the most important setting. So now let me play with this value here. Let's see. It only goes to 0.5, but we just have to enter it numerically now. Okay. Let's see. I want more fog. Okay. Let's leave it like that. And then with that fog in there, let's go ahead and bring down the sun a little bit more too. So let's try 1.5. Like I said, we just keep playing with these values until I start getting some lighting that really binds her into the environment and it doesn't look so fake. So I would like a little bit more fill light on this side. So we could bring in a spotlight. Let's try a spotlight. And I would like to see a little more catch light in her eyes. So let's do that. Let's bring in a spotlight. Here it is. Now to position this, I'm just going to go into the top view because it's really hard to position it. And I see her right there. So let's just drag it over here. Oops. Right there. I think that's it. That's the sun, right? That is the spotlight. Okay. And we'll come back to perspective. And where's that darn spotlight? There it is. Okay. So I'll hit the space bar and let's turn this up. Oop, that's not the... Why is the whole world turning? There we go. And I know this is going to be way too bright for what I want to do. And it's really destroying my lighting there. So now let's get back in here and take a look at her. What I'm trying to do is see how that light is really helping now with... now the thing I'm seeing the most right now is that skin. And we're actually just with the default, I'm seeing a little more shininess on the skin, so I'm liking that. But this light is way too bright. So let's bring it down. But I want it in her eyes. So I'm just going to enter some values numerically and try to pump that up a little bit. Maybe a little bit more. Maybe a 2. Yeah, I think that's okay. We've still got some shadow on her side. And I think just camera-wise, there's a trick with photography where you see the nose here and then you see the cheek line here. So we want to get on the shadow side, but we don't want the nose to go past this line here. So, you know, just, I have to say, with just this lighting, she looks a lot better. So let me hit G. There, she's looking pretty darn good. Now I want to show you something, and I know that this is might be a little controversial, but let's go into the blueprint here, and let's go to her face, and let's go into... There's a couple things. First, let's turn off on LOD sync. See where it says -1? Turn that to 0, so we don't have to worry about losing our LOD switching out on us. Compile and save, and let's go back to the face here, and now there's a ton of settings in here. If we double click into this material instance, this is her material, and if we click here, that is her face, right? And see how matte that looks? And we have a ton of settings here. I don't want to, you know, we could be here all day honestly, but let me just scoot this over here a little bit. Let me close out this. And let's see what we can play with here on all these settings. So one thing is we have a specular here, and it's at 0.39. What happens if we go to like a 1? See what it did? How it made her face look a little more greasy. And I think that's a nice, more realistic look, don't you? So we can do that one. And like I said, you can come in here and play with all these. I want to save that too, by the way. And highlights, I'm not sure if this is for the hair But what happens if we put a 0.5? I'm not really, some of these I don't see that much of a change on. But that's really the main one that I really want to play with. I think we have some roughness in here as well. Oh, here, some roughness. And we can play around with these values too. So what happens if we put a 1 in there? And you save these, you'll see. Maybe what happens if we go down to 0.5? Oh, look, that made it a lot more greasy. So it looks like the max roughness is a good one to play with too. So I would say just get in here and experiment to where you think it looks better or more human. So I'm just going to stop right here because there's literally a ton of settings you can play around with here yet. I don't have it narrowed down to ones that are key yet, but I think that's a vast improvement over how she looked initially. And let me just go on to F11 on this. That's looking pretty damn good compared to what it looked like, I think. That's pretty good. So anyway, I hope this gave you some ideas on how to help your metahuman look more realistic. So anyway, take care, have a great day, and I'll talk to you next time.